Dear viewers, welcome to another round of the CXO Transition Series. In this series, I talk to top leaders on their career transitions, the challenges they faced during these transitions, the dilemmas and the moments of self-doubt, and how ultimately they moved ahead and made up their minds to decide on what they would like to do. So what's the purpose of this is to shine a light on the learnings and lessons from such transitions so that when you are faced with such transition points, some of these things may stick in your mind and will help you. Right. So as a CXO coach, I work with senior leaders before, during, and post they're making significant career transitions. Today, I'm in conversation with Mr. Jitendra Mahajan, who's the Chief Supply Officer at DIAGEO India. He's had a long and distinguished career. He's very unique among all my people I'm speaking with because he's had the least number of external transitions. Very rarely does he change a company, as you will see, but so many rich internal transitions. So internal transitions are also so important to adjust to the new role, perform in the new role, supervise new teams, get their buy-in, and so on. So coming to Jitendra, his education and career highlights very briefly. He's an engineer MBA. He's from Sydenham Institute in Mumbai. He's had 2 long stints at Marico of a total of 26 years with all-round exposure to production, supply chain, procurement, commercial. And then before he was elevated to the factory head position of Marico's Jalgaon plant, which makes edible oils. And then he moved up as the corporate head of supply chain and operations development. In between, he had a brief stint with Britannia as chief of procurement. And now he's a chief supply officer at DIAGEO, where he moved into this role about a couple of years ago. So in today's conversation with Jitendra, I discuss 3 of his most significant transitions. Good morning, Jitendra.
Good morning, Ramesh.
Thanks for participating in this dialogue.
My pleasure,
On CXO career transitions. Happy to have you with us. So, Jitendra, my first question to you is, early on, you were almost fresh out of MBA school. You became the manufacturing and commercial manager at Marico's Jalgaon plant. And then there was a transition point where you were promoted to the role of factory manager. What are your thoughts at that stage? How did this change turn out for you, and what learnings would you like to share?
Before I talk to you about my learning, I think I wanted to share that I accepted this role very reluctantly. And then why reluctantly is because, having spent 9 years in doing multiple roles in factories, I thought the factory manager is just aggregation of a role. And at that point of time, there was a huge attraction to doing roles in corporate, which was the ambition. But nevertheless, when I look back now, I believe that this role had added significant value to me, the way I developed as a leader. The first and foremost is the factory manager role is a quasi CEO role for that manufacturing facility. In fact, all the stakeholders who work internally as well as external look at you with a huge expectation as a head of the facility. Now, as a factory manager, you not only manages each decisions with wearing the functional hat, but also try and find economic value in it or the business value in it. In any factory typically have a lot of people. Now, when you manage such a large span of control, it is important for you to inspire these masses, inspire towards something which is more compelling to vision. Okay, for the unit. And when you develop trust and respect with these people, then the results are very easy to get. In fact, the way you demonstrate leadership, you set the tone for culture, your decision consistency, the way you manage conflicts, or even very, very simple things like the way you greet. When you meet people, when you smile at them, when you reach out to people as you move along in the factory, all this basically makes a huge difference to connecting and inspiring the mass. In fact, it is one of the rules where I observed that the importance of culture in delivering results. So that is where I think that is the ground which is set for to associating culture with the performance. The next one is actually another one difference in this role is that you develop a stronger emotional connect or a stronger emotional intellect while doing this role, because you touch upon people with various background. I mean, various education background, age, social background, intellect, and you learn to basically interact with them or relate to them and adapt differently in order to build that emotional connect. So I think you become a stronger, emotional, mature leader in this role. The last learning which I wanted to capture over here is that, in fact, many of the manufacturing facilities, when you operate, you go through certain crisis or emergency situations. I had my share as well, and each one of them make you better leader, because you in such situation you are the leader. You need to steer the group to come out of these situations, and you learn being courageous, how to protect values and ethics in the conflicting situations, how do you demonstrate resilience, perseverance, and most importantly staying calm and composed, okay, when managing this situation and listening to others. I
Right.
think overall all these aspects basically makes you very strong, a people leader, which basically useful in any situation going forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. So from a reluctant promotee, you became a willing leader, and you demonstrated, you picked up a lot of, aspects of leadership and integrated that, which helped you going forward. Wonderful, great. Jitendra, now thereafter, your dream came true of, you're promoted to head of supply chain for the foods business at corporate office. So how did you find, because, in the factory, you're Raja number one, but in the corporate, you're one of many, and there are many talented people probably at that point of time. So how did you adapt? What changes did you have to make to adapt to the corporate role? And what were the challenges you anticipated, and what were the unanticipated challenges, and how did you overcome?
Yeah. So thanks. I think you hit it quite well, Ramesh. I think the biggest transition for anyone to move from factory to corporate is going from a phase of being Raja to probably something called Praja. And nevertheless, I also went through that transition, and it was pretty big transition to adapt to. In fact, when I look back, I can talk about two dimensions to this. So on the role front, the first and foremost is that in the earlier roles, you are reporting to a functional boss. Now, a functional supervisor understand functional nitty-gritty, functional challenges much better. Whereas when you move to reporting to the CEO, the yardstick shifts completely. In fact, what I realize is that when you set priorities for and objective for your team, it is important to ensure that there is a congruence of that with the business objective. Now, as long as you able to connect the functional agendas to these, I think you able to manage both the front, your team as well as the business expectations much better. The second one
Sure.
is when you on a leadership front, when you start dealing with very different diverse set of people with a different priorities. I mean, in factories you typically had one priority. In corporate also, finally you work for the organization objective, but nevertheless each functional domain brings in their own different priorities. And when you take decisions, the requirement to align with your stakeholders, requirement to influence them, in sometimes even educate them on why are you doing what you're doing, makes a huge difference. And what it really requires is having again a patience, listening, learning, and then slowly influencing. I think these are the areas in leadership which becomes very important when you move to a role of where you're part of a business management team. The second area which I thought I learned is it is important to as a functional leader to create a very strong second line, which is not, I would say, competent, but also have a equal amount of conviction and commitments towards what the functional delivery is expected for the business. And once that happens, then it becomes much easier to drive functional excellence culture.
Yes, Jitendra, I noted both your points. The building a strong second line probably is important in every leadership position. But what struck me about what you said is when you move to corporate, the importance of influencing rather than when you're number one in a factory,
Directing.
you can just tell people what to do. From there, you're one among equals, other functional heads are there, and so on. So you do use much more of influence. So that's a very well made point. Thanks so much, Jitendra, for talking so frankly and generously sharing your learnings. Dear viewers, this is the end of part one of my conversation with Mr. Jitendra Mahajan, Chief Supply Officer of DIAGEO India. Thank you so much for watching. Please join us for the second part in a few days. Thank you. Dear viewers, if you found value in this video, support us by clicking the like button, share it with your colleagues, and press the bell icon to subscribe to my channel. I eagerly await your thoughts on this video in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.